It all began with a handful of breadcrumbs and spiraled into a master plan for chaos. The first phase of Operation Skyfall was disarmingly straightforward. Transform a quiet suburban yard into a bird-packed frenzy rivaling Times Square. I didn't just want a few feathered VY side, I needed hundreds. A swarm so overwhelming that even Lisa's clipboard couldn't tame the aftermath. To pull it off, I had to think like a pigeon. Not figuratively, literally. I dove into their minds. Research revealed surprising truths. Pigeons were sharper than people assumed. They recognized faces, followed routines, and had uncanny recall for food spots. If they found a safe, reliable meal once, they'd return, bringing buddies along like neighbors flocking to a weekly barbecue with free drinks. Armed with this, I'd a VY set a baiting cycle. I started small, sprinkling premium bird seed on park benches, near the community mailbox, and atop rooftops. Watching from my car like a shady strategist, I saw them arrive, first a cautious pair with gray feathers and red eyes, then more each day, as if they'd texted the group chat. The brilliance lay in the loophole. HOA rules forbade feeding birds on my property. Fine, I didn't. Every seed hit public turf, sidewalk edges, green spaces, the bus stop bench, all beyond Lisa's iron grip. Since I wasn't tossing food from my yard, I was untouchable. It was flawless. Lisa caught on one afternoon, power walking past the garden when a modest pigeon posse landed in her path. She yelped, dropped her eco-friendly water bottle, and flailed like she'd stumbled into a Hitchcock flick. I stifled laughter behind a hedge as she shooed birds that stared back, unfazed. One even blessed her sneaker with a dropping that pigeon became my MVP. But a few dozen birds wouldn't break Lisa. I needed noise, scale, a spectacle for the HOA annals. So I refined the game. I added audio cues, pigeon feeding calls looped through a Bluetooth speaker by a tree stump. They'd flock to familiar sounds. Shiny tape marked safe zones. To humans, it was quirky decor. To pigeons, a glowing InVYT. I tracked patterns like a scientist, and within 2 weeks, I could summon 200 pigeons in 15 minutes. Lisa unraveled, pinning furious notes to the bulletin board. Neighborhood alert. Aggressive bird active VY tie. Possible illegal feeding. She formed a clean sky patrol, 3 clueless neighbors with binoculars and leaf blowers. One even wore a whistle like he was coaching the bird Olympics. Tensions spiked when Lisa called animal control, alleging a feral pigeon plague and blaming the block. The officer toured my spotless yard, sipped my coffee, and left with a shrug. No violations. Lisa fumed from her driveway, foiled by the fine print. But the real show was brewing. I'd timed the climax for the HOA's big meeting. Lisa had hyped it with banners, balloons, and a sandwich spread, expecting praise and fresh finds. She didn't anticipate a skyborne ambush. I'd teamed up with Tom, a retired pigeon racer from the next town, VYAA Forum alias, Bird Freedom 99. He had 60 birds and a wild streak. When I pitched my plan, he cackled and said, "You sold me at HOA." We synced his flock's legal, humane release with my local crew, triggered by seed drops and calls at 3 spots around the PA VY line. I called it Featherstorm Saturday. By Friday, speakers were charged, tape gleamed, and Tom's birds were prepped. Clear skies and a breeze sealed the deal. I whispered to a chubby pigeon by my foot, "Ready?" It cooed. I took it as a yes. Lisa, Obli VYS, fussed over her HOA badge and the sandwich guy. Her custom napkins read Lisa's vision: clean, calm, compliant. Perfect irony. At the meeting, I'd press play, one sound. 1 crumb and the sky would drop. The trouble started with a letter. Remove the bird feeders in 48 hours or face daily fines. Delivered by a smug HOA rep with the charm of a rock and the ethics of a cartoon thug. A sparrow landed on my shoulder, eyeballing him as he flinched. I grinned. That's when I decided I wouldn't roll over. My backyard was a haven. Cardinals, finches, and mockingbirds flocked daily. Working from home, kid-free and low-key, I found solace in their VY sits. Coffee in hand, I'd watch them through the glass doors, a slice of calm amid bills and HOA nonsense. Then Lisa, the HOA president, stormed in. Bleached hair, clipboard in tow, she radiated perpetual disapproval. She cruised the streets in a golf cart rigged with headlights and a laminated rule book, absurd but real. It began with a friendly reminder note about droppings and pests. I ignored it. A warning followed. Ignored again. The rules didn't ban feeders, and my yard was pristine. Then came the fine notice, hand-delivered, citing Regulation 14B. I dug out the HOA handbook. There it was, scribbled in ink, an emergency amendment from Lisa's secret meetings. This wasn't about birds, it was personal. The next day, Lisa smirked as I hauled trash. Hope you're handling those feeders. Escalation's a shame. I glanced skyward as a pigeon soared past. Don't worry, I said. I'm arranging plenty. I wouldn't let her ruin my mornings or bully me out of my space. I pored over bylaws, meeting notes, anything legal. Lisa, a year into her reign, had outfined her predecessors combined. Her nephew, a realtor, flipped local houses. Birds clashed with their sterile curb appeal. My feeders symbolized defiance, and Lisa loathed defiance. I fought back with strategy, not rage. Watching doves coo by the feeder under moonlight, I hatched a plan. If birds were the issue, I'd make them the issue. I studied pigeons smart, social, and food-driven. Forums and articles taught me their habits. The HOA banned feeding wildlife on my land, but public spaces? Fair game. I'd skirt the rules like a pro. Using a burner email, I joined wildlife groups, quizzing experts on attractants and sound cues. A former zookeeper quipped, "Pigeons are like frat boys, free food and noise, they're there." I scattered seed on public land, added reflective trinkets, and tested calls. A dozen pigeons grew to a vocal, hungry horde. Lisa scowled as one crossed her path, unaware it was just the start. I registered for the HOA Meetinga. Lisa led showcase with snacks and a slideshow. She'd never suspect her perfect day was about to get winged. Featherstorm Saturday dawned crisp and bright. The PA-VY lion buzzed with HOA smugness. Lisa, clipboard in hand, barked at caterers in a pastel suit and flag pin. I lingered on the edge, phone ready, speakers hidden. Neighbors mingled, kids darted, and Stan, the VP, eyed the sandwiches. At 2:01 p.m., Lisa tapped the mic. "Good afternoon. Today we celebrate progress, unity." I hit play. Bird calls hummed softly. She pressed on. "We've curbed disturbances like wildlife feeding." A pigeon landed. Then another. Laughter rippled. Then chaos. Hundreds of pigeons, mine and Tom, swarmed from trees, roofs, wires. They hit the PA-VY lion in a feathered storm, shredding banners, snatching food, perching on Lisa's shoulder. She froze, then flailed, swatting with her clipboard as droppings hit her skirt. Kids cheered, adults shrieked. Stan lost a cookie to a bold bird. I filmed discreetly, streaming to an HOA horror subreddit. Comments exploded. Pigeons 1, Lisa 0. Lisa screeched for animal control, tumbling into a trash can. The meeting dissolved. Stan fed birds with a grin, muttering, "Best day since '98. Lisa, feathered and furious, vowed vengeance. The VY Deo went VY Row, cracking her grip. Neighbors questioned her rules, and I smiled. The storm had begun. Lisa vanished for 2 days post-uprising, then returned in a navy blazer, pushing Operation Neighborhood Purity. New rules banned bird-friendly decor. June's flamingo got fined. Delgado's mailbox was a hot spot. She hired Dwight, a slick lawyer, and measured for netting. I stayed low, letting her overreach. Her gardening bantied to imaginary rats sparked dissent. I upped the ante with elegance. I booked an exotic bird show, macaws, doves, peacocks, for a community event on public land. Families loved it. Lisa raged, but permits held. A peacock fanned its tail at her, and the crowd chanted, "Let the birds stay." Her power faded. Stan called a meeting, suspending her over unapproved rules and fees. I spoke. "Let nature and us breathe." Applause roared. Lisa sued, claiming wildlife terrorism. I, a secret law clerk, faced her in court. Her neck-braced rant flopped. My credentials and facts won. Case dismissed. She fled, her house sold, and the neighborhood bloomed. Birdhouses, potlucks, peace. The blue jay returned, and I toasted it. One VY Deo capped it. They fined me for feeders, so I gave them a flock. The sky was ours again.